In 2019, we seized, in Navajo County, we have 70 miles of Interstate 40, which is it's a strong trafficking corridor. If you look at the statistics, they say over 60% of fentanyl that enters the United States comes through the state of Arizona, and around over 70% of the seizures come in the state of Arizona. So I-40 is going to be. So we're gearing up for that. And in 2019, we seized 30 to 40,000 pills. One of those stops had 15,000 pills, and I was in first year as sheriff, and I thought that was just so significant. I was like, wow, what could it can't get worse than this, it can't get bigger. And just seeing those threats. Did you know in 2022, Navajo County Sheriff's Office, with only 65 deputies, we seized over 2 million pills? How do you go from 30,000 to 2 million in those 4 years that we've talked about? That tells you the magnitude of the change of what drugs have done. Methamphetamine had it for decades, and then all of a sudden it's fentanyl overnight. One pill can kill a street officer or a child that comes in contact for the first time, but you see the people that have the tolerance up to 60. Where's that coming from? And how much are they using that? And I remember we booked somebody in a while ago, and they said he's a heavy user, and he said he uses 50. So of course we have medical monitoring, and so I checked that with other people that we've dealt with before that have given us intel, and I'm like, is that possible? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, wow. But we're learning this as we're going through this epidemic. The detention side for law enforcement or for sheriffs that have the unique responsibility across the state to be the managing a jail for each of the 15 counties. That's the scariest point for me in public safety, is managing a jail with fentanyl being smuggled in, and then you're having the overdoses in custody because that one little pill is easy to get in there. Our county probably has seen an impact of $1 million a year in additional medical costs in our jail because of fentanyl. And so we've talked about the enforcement along I-40. We've seen that thing. So we're allocating resources for the trafficking and the enforcement of the large dealers and the cartel type level of interdiction we're seeing in this county. But then you're seeing the thefts, the shoplifting, the serial shoplifting type of cases that you see at the larger retail stores. And then you see a lot of our summer residents. That's one of the bigger concerns, because in the winter our population does tail off, and how many of these homes get hit is a concern to us, because we feel that we have an obligation that everybody who buys property and recreates, spends money as a taxpayer of this county, deserves protection, and that they deserve to live in a community that's protected. And because we have these drug pandemics, is that now have a negative aspect on the economy? We had the DARE programs, and we talked about the dangers of marijuana, and we talked about the dangers of alcohol. But we talked about then that making those choices then could lead to bad choices later, getting a job, going to college, going to the military, and all the chain effects that it leads down to, a road of addiction and problems. Now you're having a conversation with your teenage daughters, sons, friends, saying you could die. It's not just, hey, do you want to get a good job when you get older? Now it's like, do you want to live? Because as small as it may sound, it's like we tell our kids don't do drugs, but now you can hear stories across the state where people get a sports injury, and then they ask their friend, here, this will numb the pain, or this or that, and then you can see in the text messages before they die, bro, what was in that? I don't feel right, this, that, and then they're dead an hour later. It's so dangerous that we just weigh it, and we don't count them by pill. We just do it by weight. We seal them, and we don't even test it, because it's too dangerous to test inside our substation. We have to send it to the lab to be tested, because you just don't want to leave that on on the conference room table where a deputy may come in and put his lunch down the next day, right? And it's just one of those substances. And you've seen the stories across America where these deputies are passing out, and they're fortunately an officer's there to save them with Narcan. Here in Navajo County, our major crimes apprehension team, or our drug task force, was serving a search warrant on an apartment here in Show Low, and they made entry at the time that they were smoking fentanyl, and there was vapor or gas in the air, and one of the deputies got lightheaded. They had to pull them out, and they had to give him Narcan just from the exposure of the odor or the smoke in the air. In 2020, I remember we had to go buy a body scanner because they're smuggling it in their cavities. And so in 2019, we had a fentanyl exposure, and we had a near death. And so that's when I had the big eyes, and I'm like, well, this is for real. And we talked about the financial strain it has on my budget, it has on the state and the hospital system. So we went and had to buy a body scanner for $120,000. We thought that was cheap compared to in custody death or anything of that nature. And so we've seen a lot of that's helped. We then took it up another step, and we got a dog that's dedicated just to the jail. But we're seeing it just because it comes in their shoelaces. It comes in some of the females in their hair, if they have braids or different things that they can weave it in there. I mean, you're seeing it in so many different levels that as much as we search, it's just that small pill. And we just have to get better and have more devices to intercept it. I think the message is loud and clear. And now you're having parents. Before it used to be, I think people say, well, now that's a choice that an adult made. Now you probably interviewed people that have had the impact of 16-year-olds to many loved ones that have died. And I think that it's come full circle, and everybody's like, what can we do about this? Our specialty on the law enforcement side is we're the enforcement. And one thing that we are trying to make a difference in, again, back to the jail aspect of this pandemic, we have people that are put into custody, and we have no control how long they're going to be there, and we have no control on who's coming in. But we, as the sheriff or the sheriff's office, again, care, custody, and control of that inmate. And in partnering with the county attorney, the health department, and the county board of supervisors, if we're going to have these inmates be part of our residence for an amount of time, we're going to hopefully use these state and federal funds, and we're going to send them on a path of better hope. If we have them for 30, 60, 90, or a year, why not give them the treatment, give them the education, and give them that resource on the outside? And so we're working with CBI, we're working with Change Point, we're working with local drug treatment programs to say, hey, how can we, when we have a releasee, not send them back to the house that sent them here, but send them to you, and hopefully we never see them again. As bad as this pandemic is, it's affected so many people's lives. There are so many good people out there that value everybody's life as somebody that needs to be saved. Their father, brother, sister. They're loved by somebody, and they care about them. And that's always inspiring. And I find neat is you see so many people that want to volunteer to help, that continually contact me. How do I get in front of your inmates to share my story, or how do you do that? And I think it's fantastic.